Hello and welcome back to Mate's Tottenham blog and to Tottenham Hotspur Transfer Talk live stream. There's a whole lot of stuff to get through today. We're going to be giving you updates on Harry Kane, a new contract for him potentially, as well as the interest from Manchester City. We're also going to be talking about Dele Alli, the update we've got in his future, Heung-min Son, Harry Winks, Jedson Fernandez, Danny Rose, and in terms of incomings, we'll be discussing Marcel Sabitzer, Milan Skriniar, among many others. First of all, if you are new to the channel and you want more of this Tottenham Hotspur content, transfer content, live watch-alongs, podcasts, and a very special interview coming up this week with the one and only Fabrizio Romano. Make sure to go down and hit that subscribe button down below, and make sure to hit the notification bell as well. So you get notified whenever we upload. And to welcome some people to the stream, we have Pete from the Lane, Alfie Mole, channel member Haytham Al-Batashi. If you do want to become a channel member, hit the join button down below and everything will be explained for you there. It's starting at just £1.99 per month. We've Spurs for Life, Lily White Lane here as well. And Lily White, the member show is tomorrow before the Brentford game, so you can come back for that one. And if there is time, we'll send the link out to everyone. We have Slushy Deluxe, Alfie again, and Rob Hogan as well. Welcome along to the stream. Look, I suppose we should dive straight into things. Welcome 92 Flamethrower as well. And there's a lot of people concerned at the moment about Heung-min Son's contract, and it's been in the media for quite a while that he is discussing a new contract with Spurs, and even Fabrizio Romano, I think, chimed in on it at one stage. He is expected to sign his contract imminently, and people are getting concerned because it's been held up. It's been a while since we've really heard anything about it. And with the transfer window opening now, and of course, typically with Spurs, the rumours start flying around the place. People are concerned that perhaps Real Madrid could be one of the teams coming in for Heung-min Son, but I don't think there's any cause for concern in this one. You can see Son when he's on the pitch, when he's off the pitch, whatever he does, you can see how happy he is at the club. And I assume there could be a lot of formalities holding up this contract, but I imagine sooner rather than later this will be announced, and I don't think there's any cause of concern in this one. Just to say as well to anyone who is watching on the live stream replay, make sure to go down in the comments below and leave all your opinions throughout the stream. And I'll put timestamps in the description as well. So if there's any particular player you want to hear about, you can just pop down to the description, and the timestamps there will let you know where you need to go. And Harry Kane saying, hope your hand is fine. Thank you, I appreciate that. Aaron saying Harry Kane joined the conversation. Ask him directly. We could do MJH here as well. Good to see you as well. And the situation with Harry Kane is, we heard last week that Manchester City could potentially be preparing a £100 million bid for Harry Kane, which it's crazy to think about, but it's not exactly a surprise that a team with the financial backing and the stature that Man City have could potentially be looking at signing Harry Kane. £100 million, never in a million years would Tottenham accept that offer. I would believe that City are looking for a striker, with Sergio Aguero really struggling with injuries at the moment and potentially coming towards the end of his Man City career. I think we will see City make a big striker signing, but I really don't think that striker is going to be Harry Kane. He has now entered contract negotiations with Spurs. I forget the exact name of that source, but it's not one that I've heard of before. But it wouldn't surprise me if Kane has entered contract negotiations, because he does feel like a player who could be around Spurs for a long, long time, and hopefully that feeling will remain the same for time to come, because with Jose Mourinho now the man in charge, it does feel as though trophies could be coming to Spurs soon. And I think Harry Kane could be the man who really wants to get those trophies with Tottenham as well. And here he is in the live chat saying he won't go. So I think that ends that situation. Harry Kane staying at Spurs. Rob Hogan saying, straight up before we start, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and become a member if you can. It's definitely worth it for great content. I appreciate that, Rob. But as well, he's absolutely spot on. Smash that like button. I hit subscribe as well. We're trying to get to 4,500 subscribers, and you certainly won't regret hitting the subscribe button, with amazing content coming throughout this month, including an exclusive interview with Fabrizio Romano on Wednesday. We've had to push it back a day. And this is another one I want to talk about. Oscar Bell and Eunice mentioning it there with Jedson Fernandez. Oscar saying, do Spurs or Benfica have to pay any money for Jedson Fernandez to go back to Benfica this January? I'm not exactly sure on the exact clauses of that contract, but I would imagine, because it is more than likely going to be an agreement that both clubs come to, I doubt there'll be any need for anyone to pay any sort of money. The initial deal when we got him last January was it was going to be an 18-month loan deal with an option to buy for about £55 million if things went to plan, and they certainly haven't gone to plan at all. It's looking very, very likely that Jedson Fernandez will return to Benfica this January. Now, having said that, he could very well play against Marine next Sunday on the 10th of January, I think that is, which is, look, I wouldn't be too happy if he did do that. If we're hearing for so long that Jedson will be returning to Benfica, and then we see him playing against Marine, because there's younger players in there who I think deserve the game time a bit more. And the likes of Harvey White or Marcelo on this channel is often calling for Harvey White. There's other players like Jamie Bowden in the youth team as well, who would definitely deserve a chance in the first team. And a game against Marine is probably the best opportunity we'll get for the remainder of this season to actually get them into that team. So, while it is looking very likely Jedson will be going back to Benfica, I don't think there'll be any fees involved for either club, again, because it will more than likely be a mutual agreement. But I would be really disappointed if he played against Brentford tomorrow or against Marine on Sunday, both of which you will have live watch-alongs on this channel for. Just let you know, hopefully David Harris and Marcelo will be joining us for the two of those. Pourav saying your commitment is great despite the hand situation. Hats off, Matt. I appreciate that, Pourav. I appreciate it a lot. Mr. K, welcome to the stream as well. Pete from the Lane, Trevor, Cam, Caleb, Alfie, all welcome to the stream. Jack Bennett saying, let's talk Sabitzer. And I'm becoming increasingly concerned about any potential move Tottenham may have coming up for Marcel Sabitzer, because as we said last week, you can see the bottom of the screen there, the RB Leipzig board have confirmed Tottenham have registered an interest in the player, which is of course a great place to start in this discussion. But it's kind of died down in the last week or so, and it was David Ornstein I think came out and said Tottenham may not have the funds to make any sort of signings this January, and we could potentially have to sell players before we get any players in. And it's concerning because I can't see any player in our team that could leave and without being replaced we could spend that money elsewhere. So for example, if we let Davinson Sanchez go, I think we would need to reinvest that money in another centre back, and I don't think there are any midfielders that could bring in the type of a fee that we could then reinvest in Marcel Sabitzer, which is slightly concerning. And look, this is what I'm definitely going to be asking Fabrizio Romano about on Wednesday. The interview, actually, I'm talking to him tomorrow, and then it'll be uploaded on Wednesday. So as far as Sabitzer goes, I'm kind of losing faith in that one. But look, it's absolutely one to keep an eye on. We know the mind games that Jose Mourinho likes to play. He said himself he's not expecting too much business, but knowing Mourinho, that could mean we could make 6 or 7 signings this January window, and I know we're not going to make that many, but it's definitely one to keep an eye on. Trevor saying, what do you think of these Eriksen rumours? I really hope it's not true. Geezer can't beat the first man and just there to pick up a paycheck. And this is something that came out in the last couple of hours, is that Tottenham could potentially try and bring Christian Eriksen back to North London on a loan deal this January. But it's Dave Heitner from, I think, The Guardian he works with, who has come out with this news. But any sort of a deal would be incredibly difficult to manoeuvre for a number of reasons. And look, there's a massive split among the Spurs fan base with this one. I kind of go back and forth in it. And at the moment, I'm kind of the opinion that if we can get him for a 6-month loan deal, if Inter Milan cover maybe 50% or so of the wages, if there isn't too much of a loan fee involved, and I don't think there would be, because I do imagine, as Inter Milan have said themselves, they're keen to get him off their books. I think we don't really have anything to lose in this sort of a transfer, because he wouldn't be a player who's going straight into our first team. But in terms of rotation, with the likes of Lo Celso constantly picking up injuries, I think it could be a very good one to get in. And I want to get your opinion on this one. So everyone, if you do want to get Christian Eriksen in, pop a yes into the chat. If you don't want to get Eriksen in, pop a no into the chat. And we'll see what the opinion is on this one, because as I said, even scrolling through Twitter in the last hour or two after this news broke, is very, very different opinions among the Spurs fan base as to whether or not we want this one to happen. So again, make sure to pop into the live chat there if you do want to see Eriksen or you don't. Majid is saying he does want Eriksen back. Ray Perlong saying, I don't think Eriksen will come back. And that's kind of the other side of things, is would Christian Eriksen want this transfer? Because if it does happen, he'll be coming back to Spurs with his tail between his legs, having down tools for the last 18 months of the club, and really forcing that move out. And as we saw in the Amazon documentary, it was more than it wasn't money or anything like that. He genuinely wanted to leave Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, and I'm sure the appeal of playing on the continent definitely played a part in that. But there was nothing that was stopping him from leaving the club, which is disappointing for someone that was there for so long and that at the beginning did so well for us. Let's get a few of these in. Ray is saying yes. Harry Kane says no. Alfie says no. Rune and Flamethrower saying no as well. MJH says yes. We have a few more no's there from Ratty Star, Zachary, Michael, Leland Edwards, Vincent, Jack, Sam saying yes. Rune saying a big fat no. So look, from that, the majority of the fans do not want him in. And welcome as well, Steve, channel member to the live stream. Steve was also asking about Dele Alli. And we were saying last week, again on one of these live streams, I think it was on Thursday on our January transfer window preview, that Ali and Sanchez are both open to moves away from Spurs. However, Spurs may not be in a situation where they can sell them, and that's been all but confirmed today. With more reports coming out that Spurs just are not in a situation to entertain any sort of offers for Dele Alli, whether they are permanent transfers or loan deals. And I've seen a few tweets again saying that the fact that Ali is more than likely staying, I think, says a lot about the Christian Eriksen transfer, and it probably downplays those rumours quite a bit, because I can't imagine we'd be keeping Dele Alli if we did have an option to bring in someone like Christian Eriksen who could replace him. Now, personally, I think my opinion on Dele Alli has stayed the same throughout all of this. He's not been good enough in the last couple of years. He doesn't deserve his place in the team at the moment, but he has the quality, and you can't deny that. Like, he hasn't provided on the pitch for quite a long time, but a player doesn't come out with the sort of numbers, the stats, the performances that he did come out with for that year or two, unless that natural ability is there. And it's just about finding that form again. It's about finding his place in the team. But you do also have to recognise there's only so long he can go without actually doing that again. There's only so many chances you can give him. And I think Jose Mourinho has dealt with the situation with Dele Alli very differently to how he's dealt with any other player. You know, when Ndombele was kind of in the fringes last year, he kind of put his arm around him. You know, maybe internally it was a bit different. We heard Jose Mourinho did actually want to get rid of him. But now, he's like, even in public, bar that one game, which I think was against Burnley, he put his arm around him and he's helped him be in a situation now where this could be the best season of his career, where he's playing really, really well for Spurs. But with Dele Alli, it's very, very different. You know, Ali, I think, played very well against Stoke in the EFL Cup quarter-final a few weeks ago. And all Jose Mourinho really said about him in the post-match press conference was criticising him for the mistake that he made, which led to a goal. And you can't blame, you can't blame that one pass on its own for the goal. There's a lot of defensive errors in between the two things happening, but it was just strange the way Mourinho was so keen to say, "Oh, I didn't like that from Ali. It was his fault. I don't want any player who's doing the sort of flicks in there." And I do think that is why Ali is out of the team at the moment, and why Ndombele is in there, because Ndombele is an absolute genius when it comes to retaining possession. It's almost his best attribute. You can't get the ball off him. His passes are usually accurate, and that is probably why Ndombele is in that team ahead of Dele Alli. But I just can't bring myself to accept that the best option for Spurs right now is to get rid of Ali. For a while I was thinking maybe a loan deal to PSG, where he could kind of regain his form playing against lesser opposition. And although he come back with a sense of confidence that could be a bit kind of maybe a false sense of confidence because of the teams he's playing against, but it's a sense of confidence nonetheless. And that is something he could bring into his performances at Spurs and maybe help him improve there. But at the moment, I'm thinking, in the last couple of months, when he has gotten into the team, for the majority of the time, I think he's actually played quite well. And maybe his appearances, his performances are being judged a bit more, and they're being criticised a bit more, because when he's on the pitch, he's exactly who we're looking at. He's the type of person he's the player that you're analysing because of the situation with him. And look, again, Steve makes the points here, but how long do we hang on to him? He's an asset that could bring us huge funds, which would add to the strength of the squad. At the moment, he adds nothing. And look, that is a good point. He could generate a lot of money that we could invest. Perhaps we could put into the Marcel Sabitzer deal, but he's contracted for another 3.5 years, which I think could be where the reluctance to sell him is coming from, because there is a lot of time there for him to turn that around. But on the flip side, if you're looking at what happened with Christian Eriksen, Dele Alli then has the opportunity to run down that contract, and all of a sudden the situation is in his hands, and we could end up again with the player going for a cut price, like Eriksen going for £50 million. You know, it's a player that we kind of need to play in the team every now and then. His performances aren't great. He's taken a lot of money out of the wage bill. And then, you know, like I said, in a year or two time, the situation is in his hands. So I think, personally, I wouldn't rush into anything this January, but I think maybe come the summer, then is when Spurs need to make the decision. Do we keep him, or do we get him to sign a new contract? Or do we keep him, get him to sign a new contract and kind of protect our assets, or do we let him go? Because it would have to be next summer, at the latest the summer after, if we are going to let him go, where we could still actually generate funds that would be advantageous to the club, and we wouldn't be making a loss on letting him go. So I think it is a debate that will rage on until a decision is made, which I think will be later on this year, potentially even next year. Ray Perlang saying, when's the call-in? That'll be tomorrow. We'll be live streaming starting probably at 6:30. We'll have some call-ins before the game, and then myself, David, and Marcelo will be watching the Brentford match, and we won't be doing too much post-match. We'll probably all be heading over to the We Are Tottenham TV post-match fan show. Around 6 or 6:30 tomorrow, an hour and a half before kickoff, and we'll have the call-in show here. James Watson, channel member again, welcome to the stream, saying, I think Dele lost his drive or determination. and he's saying PSG would be perfect for him. And look, I think that is very true, because he's in such a different situation now to where he was when he was at his best, because Pochettino was such a father figure to a lot of players when he was at the club. And similarly to the way Mourinho is with Ndombele, Pochettino would always put his hand around the players. He'd take the blame himself. He would defend his players. He would be so keen to point out what they did right on the pitch. If they had a 1 out of 10 performance, he'd explain why they got that 1. Whereas Jose Mourinho, if a certain player has a 9 out of 10 performance, he'll point out where he lost that 1. And Dele Alli seems to be that player that Mourinho is, I wouldn't say targeting, but is kind of treating like that. And it is unfortunate. And I don't think there's any surprise that Ali kind of started so well when Jose Mourinho came in, because you could see the rapport, the relationship there. Mourinho, that famous comment where he said, "Are you Dele, or are you Dele's brother?" And it kind of it sparked a fire in Ali, and he came out, he played really well against West Ham. He got his 2 goals or something against Bournemouth. But then when Mourinho started seeing kind of what was going on behind the scenes with Dele Alli, where he wasn't good enough in training, maybe his attitude, his motivation wasn't as high as it should have been, that's kind of when things started to fall apart, and slowly Ali's performances went back to the level that they were in that last year under Pochettino. So but there's so many things affecting this situation right now, and we can only say so much about it on our side, because like Jose Mourinho, before he came into the club, he only knew so much. He only really knows what people want us to know. So there could be a lot going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. We don't know what the relationship between Mourinho and Ali is like. We don't know what the relationship between Ali and his teammates is like. Eric Dyer has even spoken out about Ali needing to improve his performances. So there's so many things affecting this right now. But I suppose as fans, all we can really do is judge a player off what we have seen on the pitch. And Ali has shown he has the talent, he has the ability, he has the knack for playing Premier League football, but he's just not shown that at the moment. And I think that's why it's a very different situation to judge. Welcome Marcelo to the stream. Again, Marcelo will be here tomorrow night for the Brentford watch along. I'm looking forward to that one. Oscar is saying, I saw something earlier about Spurs being one of the clubs being interested in Demiral from Juve. And this isn't the first time we've been linked to Mary Demiral. I'm not entirely sure where it has come from this time. What kind of source it is, but Demiral is a player who's he's had really bad ACL injuries. I think he's had 2 in his career already, and he's still quite young. This season, Juve have played 20 games. This is a tweet from Adam Digby. In Juve's 20 games, he started 7, made 2 sub appearances, and he's been an unused sub twice. He's already missed 8 games through injury this season, and he's been suspended for 1 game. So not very good numbers there in terms of getting out in the pitch. And you'd imagine if he was coming in, he probably wouldn't be going into our first team. And then all of a sudden he struggles to get match fitness, and when he is on, he just struggles to get up to the level. So I wouldn't be too caught up in any links with Mary Demiral this January in terms of whether I think it'll happen. But even if I want it to happen, I'm not sure that I do. Ratty Star, Steve saying that judgment of a player you made between Mourinho and Poch is the difference between a winning manager and an average one, which is a very good point. That's a really good point, actually. I hadn't even thought of that. Mourinho, he calls out a player when it needs to be done, whereas Poch is just more of a man manager, really. Penda Festus is saying, where is Winks going? And this is one that's come out, I think, from AS in the last 24 or so hours. And Valencia are interested in bringing Harry Winks on loan to La Liga until the end of the season. And I think this could potentially be a deal that suits all parties. But again, it comes back to the options that Tottenham have, and whether Mourinho thinks he has enough depth in that midfield to actually let Harry Winks go. And it could come back to whether or not we'll get reinforcements in this January window. There's a lot of reports that Mourinho wants to bring in a defensive midfielder. So I don't know if that's the thing of bringing in a defensive midfielder to add to what we already have in Højbjerg, Sissoko, Winks, or if it is to maybe as a replacement for Winks if he is looking to ship him on to another club, whether that is a permanent deal or a loan deal. But look, Winks, I know it's difficult to imagine a player who splits opinion more than Dele Alli, but Harry Winks is that man. You either love him or you hate him, and I definitely go back and forth on him. There was a lot of criticism put on him when he was still under Pochettino. I think when he was actually playing quite well and was at the best point of his career, and I defended him then. I had a video out with a load of people kind of explaining what he does offer to the team and why I think he could in the future be a Spurs captain. But I think he's gone backwards since then, and again it comes down to him not really being able to fit into the Jose Mourinho system. Is it a case where he just needs the kind of father figure manager? Like Raddy Star said, the difference between winning and a winning manager and Poch. But maybe a loan deal for him could be the best thing for him, because when he gets into the team, he often has good appearances, but there's other times where he's just not good enough. And the good appearances come against Stoke in the Carabao Cup, or they come against Lask in the Europa League, they come against Ludogorets. But when he plays the kind of top opposition is when he really struggles. And as Steve says, he's not good enough. And a lot of fans do feel that. And I saw a tweet yesterday from Dan Kilpatrick where he said the inclusion of Winks was a masterstroke from Mourinho on Saturday against Leeds. Sissoko was the type of player you want when you don't want the ball, but when you do want the ball, Winks is the player that you want on the pitch. Now, I think on the basis of it, that is a very clever comment, and perhaps it is what Mourinho was thinking in putting Harry Winks on the pitch. However, if Harry Winks is the man you want when you're in possession, he only completed 14 passes in the 76 minutes that he was on the pitch against Leeds. And I tweeted that out, and I think a lot of people misunderstood it as a criticism of Leeds, but it was rather me disagreeing with the statement that was made where Winks is more effective on the ball, because he proved on Saturday that he wasn't. Look, he had one key pass when he gave the ball to Bergwijn, who then won the penalty. But if you're only making 14 passes in a game, you can't look at the fact that one of them led to a penalty, which led to a goal, because you're just not doing enough. And there was another reply to my tweet which said, surely if the good outweighs the bad, it's a good performance, which you can argue was the case for Winks in what he did do. But I think the question needs to be asked about what he didn't do. And I think early on in that game, Leeds ran the midfield and they dominated possession, which you can't put as a criticism of Harry Winks or any of our midfielders, because that is the way we play. But I don't think Winks did enough in that game on Saturday to warrant even being in the discussion of being a regular first team starter. I think Sissoko just offers a lot more because of the style of football that we play, but also he's just on better form. He's just better, which is a really weird thing. I didn't think 2 or 3 years ago I would be saying that, but Michael as well saying Winks isn't good enough. Maybe a loan out is the best thing for Harry Winks, and if it doesn't work out with him at Valencia, if he comes back a player further out of form in the summer, maybe then would be the chance to look at potentially moving him on to another team, which is, it's disappointing. It's not something that you ever want to say about a player who was one of your own. He was a fan favourite when he came into the squad. Remember the debut goal against West Ham and that famous celebration with Pochettino. And he had some really, really good nights playing in the Champions League against Real Madrid. He was so impressive, but he just hasn't really been able to keep that up since then, and it's upsetting. Steve is saying his position is one that matters what he does with the ball, and he doesn't do enough with it. Exactly. I mean, 14 passes in 76 minutes against Leeds. It's just not good enough. And he used to be that player where he was that metronome in the middle of the park, and he often got called sideways Winks because all of his passes were sideways or they were all backwards. But no one has ever claimed that he's the man who does the pretty stuff. He's not the man who gets 20 assists a season. He's not the one pinging the balls in over the back four for Son to run onto. He's the one who in the middle, he in the past has been the one in the middle who kept things ticking over. And people call it stat padding with all these sideways passes. But he was so important in terms of kind of keeping the game flowing and moving from one phase of play to the next. And it was difficult for teams to get out of their own final third because he was always the man there that was keeping our attack going. Just as it looked like it would break down, he'd go in with a crunching tackle to stop the counter attack and play that forward ball or that sideways ball to get us onto the next move. And he was so important, but unfortunately that aspect of his game has become less vital in the way that we play now, because we're that team who are looking to be on the transition. We're that team who are looking to counter attack, and he just isn't that man who can get in the ball, turn, make a run, make a quick pass, and start that sort of attack. And maybe that's where maybe that's why he's looking worse at the moment than he has been in the past, which is a disappointment. Again, he's a player that we often the Spurs fans love to love, but now it's almost a situation where the Spurs fans love to hate him. And look, maybe this loan deal to Valencia, if it is true, if it does go through, perhaps it could be a good one for him. There's 84 people watching us live. Again, if you are new to the channel and you want more of these live streams, Tottenham Transfer Talk, live watch-alongs, any Spurs content you could possibly want on YouTube, make sure to go down and smash that subscribe button down below. And if me saying it isn't enough to convince you, we've got a quick video here that might do otherwise. There's a comment there from Steve saying we don't have room for passengers anymore, and Winks is a passenger that needs to get off the Mourinho train. And I think that's one thing Mourinho did really well when he kind of got rid of the passengers, the likes of, Dele Alli was kicked out of the team, Christian Eriksen was sold, Danny Rose is nowhere to be seen anymore, and maybe Harry Winks is just an extra player that falls into that category that perhaps needs to be dealt with. I think there's a few more things that I wanted to talk about, which I've got off the top of my head. So look what I've written down here. We'll touch on this news again about Harry Kane and potentially being the subject of a £100 million bid from Manchester City in the summer. I think City could be interested. I think they feel as though they could get a deal done, but £100 million will be anywhere near enough to get Harry Kane away from Spurs. I think it'll be interesting to see how he feels about this one, if he is open to a move, A, away from Spurs, but B, to another Premier League club. We'll have to wait and see where he stands on that one, but I think there's no cause to be concerned just yet. If it is £100 million, I think Tottenham will laugh Manchester City away. If there is truth to that rumour. And look, let's talk a bit about centre-backs. We already spoke about Demiral, one that I don't think will happen and one that I don't want to happen mainly down to his injury history and his lack of fitness. Even this season, he's just struggled to get into the team. Milan Skriniar, I don't think it'll happen this January. I really don't, and I wish it had. I wish it happened last summer, and the whole way through the beginning of the season, I was confident it would happen. Now, the last time Fabrizio Romano was on this channel, we spoke about Skriniar, and I'll play that clip in a second just to give a quick insight into what he said. But this news from David Ornstein that it's looking unlikely that we'll make any signings due to financial restrictions, and the fact that Sanchez is open to move away, but Spurs might not be able to sell him until we get a replacement. It's an awful paradox there, whereas I think we can't sell players unless we get a replacement, but the funds aren't there to get a replacement unless we sell players. So things will have to work out really, really well if we are to get someone like Milan Skriniar in. And that is why I just don't think it'll happen this month, unfortunately. But let's just play a quick clip when I was speaking to Fabrizio Romano a couple of months ago. Here's what he had to say about Milan Skriniar.
One of the main things around Tottenham's transfer, and I suppose you can call it the saga with Inter Milan, there was 3 players there with potential moves, and the first one is Milan Skriniar, one that Tottenham fans were hoping we would see get over the line. But I know you've said recently as well that Tottenham are expected to go back in January to try and get the Skriniar deal over the line. Do you think there's any potential for us to get that one done?
I think it won't be easy because, as I said, Inter also said, I'm not told that Tottenham is coming back, but Inter are waiting for Tottenham to come back in January. It's something different, but it's just an Inter feeling. They expect Tottenham to be back for Milan Skriniar, but they say, we told to Tottenham board also on last days before the deadline day, immediately they said the deadline day for Skriniar deal was on Saturday and not on Monday because they can't sell Milan Skriniar on last day without a replacement. So it was really impossible to sign Milan Skriniar on the deadline day. But they said also to Tottenham board, we are going to sell Milan Skriniar just also in January, just if you are going to pay 60 million euro. This is 50 million euro with 10 million euro add-ons. Won't be easy, in my opinion, because in January it's complicated to bid for 50 million euro. But let's see, because Tottenham, in my opinion, will decide not right now, but in November and December, understanding what will happen with their defense. They have been good in the start of season, so we have to see what happens if they want to pay 50 million euro for a centre-back in January. But Inter are expecting a move, so let's see, because in January, it will be a bit different, in my opinion, than normal January transfer window. It will be really busy because many clubs were waiting this summer. They had many problems also by financial part. Now in January, they can plan something. They can try again for top targets and not just for small players. So expect something important. I don't know if it's for Tottenham and for other clubs, but they expect some important moves also in January.
Make sure to go down and smash that like button as well if you are enjoying this stream. It lets me know, what people enjoy and know what to do in the future. Again, Romano will be back on the channel. I'll be talking to him tomorrow and it'll be uploaded on Wednesday. So I have a tweet out on my Twitter. It's @MattHayesTHFC, where I'm taking a load of questions that I could ask Romano. I'll be picking the best ones out to ask him those. Make sure to head over to my Twitter. Follow me while you're there and put in your questions, and we'll get the best ones for him. Rob Hogan saying Connor Cody is a viable option at we've got an Arsenal fan who thinks he's wanted. Connor Cody is a viable option at centre back, can play football, can defend, and is a leader on the pitch. And look, maybe that is the type of player that we could be looking for in terms of finances. I think maybe he could be within our price range. We got Doherty off Wolves for £50 million. I don't think they'd be the type of team who either would or could demand any huge sort of fee. So maybe there is some sort of an option there, but it comes down to Wolves are they're potentially a challenger with us at the top of the league. Would they want to sell to Spurs? I know they've not been as good this season, but they'd be hoping to be back towards the end of the season and in future seasons. And Connor Cody he's such an important player for them. And to be honest, I always felt if Cody would ever leave Wolves, it would be for Rob for your side, Liverpool. Which, look, maybe it is an option Liverpool could go with this January with the what's the word, shortcomings they have in a centre back at the moment and all their injuries there. But look, if Connor Cody came to Spurs, I definitely. I wouldn't be opposed to that. Let's get another vote in the chat here. Where's the comment gone? Ethan Strange saying Dele Alli needs to get off the train and catch it again. We take a vote in the live chat. If you want Dele Alli to stay, say keep. If you think he should be loaned out, say loan. And if you think he should be sold, say sell. And we'll go through those and see what everyone thinks about Dele Alli. So either keep, loan, or sell in the live chat. Again, a player who really does split opinion. And personally, I want to keep him. In the past, I've wanted to loan him. I've never wanted to sell him, but I know there's going to be a huge difference of opinions here. So I just want to see what people think on that one. We'll talk a bit more after that about Jedson Fernandez again. We'll recap that news and about a few fringe players like Danny Rose, Paulo Gazzaniga, Jack Clark, players who could potentially be Spurs could be open to accepting bids for in the January window. So we have here. Rune is saying loan, Sanjog saying loan, Steve saying sell, Flamethrower saying sell in the summer, Kai says loan, Boyd says sell, Life saying keep, we have Blake saying loan, Roby saying keep, loan, sell. If only that was an option for us. Harry says keep, Alex sell, Oscar sell, George keep, Raheem sell, MJH not sure, THFC Gaming saying loan, James Watson channel member saying loan, Garrett saying keep, and Raheem, I assume was an Arsenal fan, saying, or a Barcelona fan saying sell to Barca. So look, massive split opinion there. That was a bit more indecisive than I thought. I thought we'd see some sort of decision there, I suppose. But look, that just goes to show how difficult a decision Spurs do have on their hands at the moment. There's just a huge difference of opinion among every single Spurs fan about what they want to do with him. And I think it may feel as though it's the safest option just to give him another 6 months to try and prove something, going in towards the end of the season. I think the feeling at the moment is they don't want to sell or loan him because we're fighting on all four fronts and we need every single player that we possibly can have. And look, Ali might be a player who we could play against Marine on Sunday. He could play in a second leg against Wolfsberger if we get a comfortable win in that first leg. But even if he is just there for those small little games, he's still there and he could still offer something to the squad. A few more things coming in there. Panda and Jake saying loan, What Story saying loan, Max saying keep. Blake is saying, do you think Spurs getting Ramos is realistic? We need a player like him watching the Spurs game. Højbjerg is the defensive leader and an organizer. Ramos has done that for years and in a defensive team. I don't think it's realistic, unfortunately, and that's just down to the funds. His wages will be through the roof. Having been at that Madrid team for so long, having been the player that he is, he will demand a high wage fee. I think we could see him in the Premier League. He's won everything there is to win, both nationally and with his club. So I think maybe the final last hurrah for him in his career could be a period in the Premier League. But unfortunately for Spurs, I just don't think it's one that we could afford, which is disappointing because he would be a great player to have. As you say, he could organise the defence. He could be that kind of player that we need in there because we need an organiser that isn't Jose Mourinho or that isn't Ledley King. Because if you're looking at Spurs on the pitch this season, in the Premier League, for example, we've played 16 games and we've conceded 5 goals from open play in those 16 games, 2 of which have been own goals. So if you want to even strip it down further, opposition teams have scored against us in open play 3 times in 16 games this season. Now, that is undoubtedly and factually the best defensive unit in the Premier League this season. As a unit from open play, there's no team that defends better than us. However, the other 10 goals that we've conceded have come from penalties or set pieces, which indicates very clearly to me that we can defend well as a unit, but as soon as there's reliance on individual players, we cannot cope. If that's Sergio Aurier making a mistake to give away a penalty, or if it's Eric Dyer losing Firmino against Liverpool, or Ben Davies losing Roman Saiss at a corner against Wolves, it's when we rely on individual players to do their job and to do it competently, they can't. And maybe Sergio Ramos could be the man who could come in, and even if it's just his presence in that defence that could spark something in the players around him to just simply be better. I don't know, but unfortunately, I'm not sure it is a very realistic option at the moment. Paul is saying Dele is a fantastic player, but Jose's style of play doesn't suit him. Sell would be best for both, and use funds to recruit the right player. Now, so I want to say all channel members get all of their comments read out in every single live stream. So if you are interested and you can become a channel member, just check out that join button down below. Starting at just £1.99 per month, supports the channel, and you get a lot in return. We're having our first members show tomorrow before the Brentford game, where I'll be putting the link out in my members only community feed, and you can come on and have a discussion with me, David and Marcelo about the game. Just a great opportunity for us to get your opinion on board and give something back for all the fantastic support I do get on this channel. Mikhail saying no chance we will let any homegrown player without getting at least one, and that's another thing. That's another thing Spurs have to contend with, where I think we're just about over the homegrown quota with regards to the Europa League. And I'm not sure where we stand in the Premier League, but we're certainly very near it if we haven't already surpassed it. So, if we are going to let Dele Alli go, we need to get an English player in. If we're going to let Harry Winks go, we need to get an English player in. And it's a big concern for us. And it's not something that any team should really have to contend with. But unfortunately, at this stage, it is. And maybe that could be something that could let us down. As Eddie was saying, Ramos is better than our defence. Maybe we couldn't get him because we just don't have the space in our squad to fit in more foreign players. Steve is saying Dyer is not a passenger. He contributes so much to the team. And look, I agree with that. I really do. I saw a tweet a while ago. Jake, please stop spamming if you don't mind. I don't want to ban you because you clearly are a Spurs fan, but please stop spamming if you don't mind. I saw a tweet a while ago talking about or asking for unpopular Spurs opinions, and the first thing that came to my mind was we don't need to replace Eric Dyer. I think he's good enough. I think he's a good player to have on our team, and Steve agrees there. He's on the ball. He's not pretty. He can't pass the ball. I don't know. It's a weird thing to say. He's a good player, even though he can't do that. But what we want in a defender right now is someone who can just defend. And barring maybe that lapse in concentration against Liverpool, I think he's been close to flawless for us this season. And he's, at the moment, a very good defensive partner for Toby Alderweireld. And maybe that's where I'm coming from in terms of my feeling that we probably won't bring in Milan Skriniar. But do we need Milan Skriniar is the question at the moment. He would definitely be a good addition to our team. I don't think anyone would deny that. But maybe he's just not one that we need at the moment. And maybe that's where Mourinho is coming from now as well, in that he is looking for a midfielder. Maybe he's happy with the defensive unit he has in place as well. But again, we'll have to wait and see through the January window who goes through. A few people asking about Sabitzer there. We've 26 pieces, and Panda asking about him as well. And just to recap, I think this one is looking less likely at the moment. We are interested in Sabitzer. The RB Leipzig board have confirmed that, and it does appear as though the player is also interested, but funds at the moment seems to be the biggest issue for Spurs. And I just don't think they'll be there to get this job done. I'm sorry, Jake, but I did warn you. I wouldn't like any spamming in the chat. It's one that we all want to happen, and Steve, I definitely do. It's not one that we will be happy to just let go like that, but I just don't think the money will be there. Now, of course, Leipzig wouldn't be asking for an exorbitant fee. They wouldn't be going 70, 80, 90 million pounds for their player. He's probably the type of player who has a lower release clause in his contract. Which could be good for Spurs if we do let someone go. Then maybe he could be a realistic option. And I've been saying for a while, I think in terms of the quality of player that Marcel Sabitzer is, if you want a player of that quality, he's probably the cheapest in the world that we could get. But we just still can't afford that, unfortunately, based off the comments from David Ornstein and Mourinho in the recent press conference. Boyd is saying, feel like we need a dead ball specialist. We've been relying on Dyer and Bale if he's on the pitch. I've said that. That's why I was so keen on getting Dominic Szoboszlai, but of course he's gone to Leipzig at the moment. But a dead ball specialist to replace the player that Eriksen was long ago, I think would be great. Rob is saying James Tarkowski, only 28, over 200 tackles in 5 seasons, and is 4th on the list of total blocks since 2015 with 262. No red cards and 5 goals, wouldn't cost the world. And you know what? That's actually a really good shout. He's an England international as well. And it's a bit concerning being the fan of a team in the top 6 saying we play similarly defensively to Burnley, so he wouldn't exactly be going out of his comfort zone. That's a very good shout. If you just email Jose, let him know that one. James Watson, the comment on James Watson agreeing with Rob there. Steve saying, I'll do it for you if you want. Look, I'll add you as a mod after this, Steve. I'd really appreciate that. I can't do it now because it would take me a minute to figure it out. But I'll definitely make you one after. Thank you so much for that. Blake saying, do you think Diego Costa to Spurs would actually happen? I don't think so, unfortunately. I think he could end up at the likes of Wolves, or maybe going back to Spain to a lower side. I think the best part of his career is over. Paul is saying, the problem with our defence is it defends excellently but can't use the ball. It's just a hoof. We need ball-playing defenders to progress. Look, that is true, and a lot of the time it has been Kane dropping deep to be that ball progressor, but maybe in the defence we could do with someone like that. Ben is saying Matt Hayes is cool, and I agree. Yeah, look, I suppose we'll leave it there. We're going for about 40 minutes. I think we spoke about everything there was to speak about. I'm going to drop a link in the live chat now, and I want everybody who's here to head over to this link. It's a live stream for Anthony from Let's Talk Tottenham. He's live streaming about transfers right now. So I'm going to drop this link in the live chat. Everyone head over there and just say in the live chat, Matt Hayes sent me, and we'll see how many people we can get over there. So head over to the link I've just dropped in the live chat. It'll come through for you in a second, if it hasn't already. And just join Anthony, give him a like, give him a subscribe, and say in the live chat, Matt Hayes sent me, and we'll see how many people we can get over there to that one. To everyone who is still here, thank you so much for joining me today. To those who have subscribed, again, thank you so much. If you haven't already, more content like this we'll have Fabrizio Romano on the channel during the week. Live watch-alongs for everything. Make sure to subscribe. I can promise you won't regret it. Smash that like button if you haven't already, and if you have enjoyed the stream, it helps me know the sort of content that people like. And we can get better videos out to you. Anything you do want from a Spurs channel, I could assure you you'll get it here at Matt Hayes Tottenham blog. So yeah, as always, to everyone who has joined us throughout the video, thanks for watching.